The original Godzilla once had a family, an entire species to surround himself with. Until one horrible day, it was all taken from him. He would now forever be alone. Since 1954, one monster has towered above all others as the definitive indomitable king. Feared the world over as an unstoppable force of nature, Godzilla has been on an unwavering mission to bring ruin to humanity and dominate the Earth. But what is the cause of Godzilla's rage and deliberate targeting of humanity time and time again? Why does Toho prefer that Godzilla be alone in the world instead of part of a larger species? Well, there is a reason, and it's quite tragic. We've brought this devastating event in which Godzilla's entire family and species were wiped out to life. A visualization that until now was left to the imagination, with only a couple of images ever created by Toho. Speaking of Toho, let's delve into the creation of this horrible moment and how it set the groundwork for the future of Godzilla as we know him. Most of us know the origin story. In 1948, an atomic bomb was detonated during weapons testing off the coast of Japan, mutating Godzilla. This radiation exposure made him much larger and gave him special abilities, such as his heat ray and healing factor, but that's only part of the story. In the book, Godzilla Introduction Definitive Edition, the creator of the character of Godzilla, Tomoyuki Tanaka, writes of a side of Godzilla we had never considered before. Long before the King of the Monsters took his crown, Godzilla was part of a small but thriving species. Tanaka describes many dinosaur-like creatures living in the deep waters and cave systems near Odo Island in relative peace with humans. These other members of Godzilla's species seldom interacted with humans, but were both respected and feared by natives and fishermen. The people of Odo Island named the creatures Gojira. Tanaka in the book doesn't delve too deep into the day-to-day activities of the Gojira species, but with the bits and pieces of art and information, we can assume the Gojira species would have operated similar to real-world ocean creatures like whales. This could likely be due to the Gojira sharing a similar size to that of whales, remembering that this was before Godzilla was mutated into the over 150-foot monster we see in the film. And just like how many whales migrate across the planet, the Gojira would occasionally leave their island cave systems and venture out to the deep sea of the Pacific in search for things to eat. Analyzing the old concept art shows us that these creatures lived in relative harmony with one another, and may have even formed close-knit communities that lived and flourished together. But as familiar and inviting as this community of Gojira might have been to us, they were still beasts that lived up to their monstrous reputation. As described in the 1954 film, the natives would offer young girls as a sacrifice to these creatures to maintain peace. Eventually the practice would cease, but the legend of the creatures remained, even in modern times fueled by mysterious sightings and the occasional disappearing fishing boat. But as Tanaka continues in his writing, this harmony would come to a violent end when the latest and more powerful atomic weapons were detonated in 1948. It completely destroyed the Gojira species, all but one. This is how the worst day in Godzilla's life may have played out. In moments, the underwater cave system where the Gojira community lived was obliterated by the power of the atom bomb. The explosion ripped through the caves. Its inhabitants, save for Godzilla himself, were all disintegrated. In the ruin of the atomic blast, a monster was born. Now scarred, burned, and filled with rage at the sight of his dead family, this creature knew who was to blame. Biding his time, healing, growing and realizing new power, he would emerge as a blight against the world. Revenge would be his. Invading Japan, Godzilla would destroy everything in his path, leaving only when satisfied with the horrific scene he created. No weapon proved effective against Godzilla, and for the first time, it seemed that nothing humanity could muster would save them. It would take the courage and ultimate sacrifice of Japan's best and brightest to conceive a plan that would destroy Godzilla without plunging the world into another arms race. While humanity would be victorious, the cost was high. However, it seemed the debt humanity owed to Godzilla had been paid. Now Japan could look towards a future reborn from the ashes. This humanization of Godzilla helps put his story into better perspective. While it was hinted at in the films and expanded material, knowing that Godzilla's entire family and species are gone as a result of the atomic weapons ties his origin even more closely with the post-World War II sentiments of Japan. When the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the devastation they caused went beyond the initial blasts that leveled these cities. Survivors of these events often counted those who perished in the blasts as lucky, for those who survived endured hell on Earth. Since the start of the scientific age, storytellers have used monsters to help cope with an uncomfortable and dangerous reality. The creation of Godzilla was a way to cope and express the horror Japan experienced and the pain it still felt. This is also why Toho generally prefers that Godzilla be depicted alone, as if there were more than one Godzilla, it would undermine his character's own creation. While we revel in the movies and merch that have brought so much joy to fans of the world spanning multiple generations, it's important to remember where Godzilla came from, and what these stories have taught us. While history never repeats, it does echo. Hopefully, Godzilla has helped us better understand the impact we can have on the world and each other. In truth, we'd prefer a world where Godzilla is just not needed. Only time will tell. If you're still here, I assume you've enjoyed this video, and we thank you all for giving us your time. If you're new, we would love to see you subscribe and become a resident of DangerVille today. And if you want more videos like this, where we go all out with animations and storytelling, consider becoming a member and you can help us produce these videos faster and even better. Everyone, this has been Jacob, and I'll see you in the next one.